what advice would you give to a startup founder debating whether they want to actually design their application or their website alone? Like myself, I was thinking to do it on my own, learning everything. But then what would the difference be with working with a company like you guys at DigiWrite?
So our goal is, no, I would say ship it, right? Ship it at any cost, ship it, no matter what, ship it, right? Just don't keep waiting to, fine tune your product idea. Of course, that doesn't mean, any highly regulated applications which you're going to launch in any highly regulated industry. You just need to compromise on some, vital things like data and security and privacy and get struck after launching the application. So I would say like T1 and T2. Okay, how long takes for you to build your product? T1 and T2 is how harder you make it for someone to replicate your product. So that's where we use certain principle called analytics by design as well. For example, as soon as we start designing the product, right, every events happens in the application, we start to collect many different attributes for the later analytics purpose. Because the purpose of startup, I'm just seeing a lot of startups has been built by non-technical founders, even with many agencies or freelancers or contractors, or with their own team without having a dashboard. You, Hamir, imagine you're driving a car without a dashboard. You can't measure it. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, right? That's when what is analytics by design is. So while, for example, let's say we are building a function where I'm sending a friend request to you, right? So what time the friend request has been sent need to be captured, which is not functionally doesn't matter to the end user, but it matters for the business owner to analyze the data. What are the times most of the users are sending friend requests? If in case we are building Facebook, right? And how long it take for someone to accept the request, right? And what is the timestamp? All this data need to be collected. Attributes need to be collected and fed to data, product analytics tools to measure the data. So I would say, there is something called cohort analysis, multivariate analysis, leading metric, lagging metric, several KPIs. So at DigiWrite, we just not only deliver the product, we use secure by design, we use privacy by design, we use analytics by design, which means we help founders to take informed decision by analyzing the user behavior, track the one metrics that matters to them at every stage of their startup business. For example, we start with empathy stage, second stage is stickiness, third stage is virality if it's a B2C application with network effect, and then revenue, and then scale, or scale and then revenue. Depends on when the founder want to monetize, right? I would say we should think about solving the user problem and then the revenue comes next, because there are many number of ways we can generate revenue because the data is the new oil, right? That's where it is. And so Karthik can throw some light on how he is designing for analytics purpose from the database designing. And so Bhaskar can explain more about the go-to market strategy as well, how we are helping that. So Karthik.
Yeah, I think Ramesh has covered all the points. So it's basically about capturing the right amount of data so that we can use it for the future analytics of the product. So we will actually know what feature of the product is used more for what kind of people for what long time. I'm just saying these kind of analytics. With this, we can plan. For example, you are capturing all this data in your MVP. So in the phase 2 and phase 3 deployments, you can focus on that particular feature and then build more to it and then attract more users, like stickiness Ramesh has mentioned, right? So you attract more users. So this is more about capturing the data. So DML is something it keeps evolving, right? So your DML shouldn't be static, keep evolving. So based on the requirement, business need, what kind of data we should collect, and then how we are interrelating all the data. For example, we have user details, we have product details. These should communicate with each other. How we are linking the data. So this is also very important. So that when we build analytics on top of it, the linking of the data is also important, right? So I think Bhaskar sir can give that more about the strategy point. So
thanks, Amir. Thanks, Karthik. So obviously we see the lot of founders with big ambitions, and especially if the founders are from non-tech background, there is a lot more to get through in terms of know more about the landscape, in terms of the technology, the product roadmap, the product maintenance cycle, and as well as very particularly in terms of the regulatory and compliance landscape. It doesn't matter which sector the idea is coming from or going to address the pain points in the various sectors. The data subjects data privacy is a very, very important aspect across all the developing nations, and also even low and middle income economies. The rules are getting very stricter in terms of protecting individuals' data, right? And also there are huge penalties if any data breach occurs. On top of that, very sensitive sectors like financial services and healthcare, there is additional layer of compliance required as well. I can talk about more in terms of healthcare. So within healthcare, it's not about the idea, or it's not about how much money you have. The success of the product relies heavily upon whether the product you build is something that is safe. Clinical safety is utmost important. And obviously, many founders think that nowadays anyone can build an app, and there are kind of maybe, if not thousands, there are millions of apps sitting in various app stores and Google Play Store, etc. But not that every app is very successful, and for each successful app there might be thousands which kind of collecting dust as well. So obviously there are various reasons for why certain apps are not very successful. Coming back to the point in terms of how stringent the compliance measures are within the healthcare space, demonstrating clinical safety is very important. And number two is whatever we build, sometimes people think it's an app, but also the regulatory authorities have a very strict assessment mechanism by which, even though it might be an app, this could be labeled as a medical device. If it falls into that category, the amount of compliance requirements that is required even to launch it is very kind of significant in terms of effort wise, right? We have the UK organization called MHRA, Medicines and Health Care Products Regulatory Agency, and we have a similar organization in the European Union, and we have FDA in the USA. So they all have a very, very stringent standards. So it's not only about the technical robustness of the product. Obviously, as Ramesh and Karthik alluded already, so we need to have a privacy by design, so security by design as a kind of minimum mandatory feature in any healthcare product. And then you go through collecting your evidence, and also you need to submit all the evidence in terms of whether the product has been built with the strict quality control standards throughout, with the proof showing that it doesn't have any known vulnerabilities where data could be breached. And also we need to showcase with them in terms of what kind of processes, controls we have planned. That is, or at least you need to showcase in terms of all the processes in terms of your data control, role-based access controls, and in terms of security, obviously, so physical, administrative, and technological security measures should be built in. And also there are a lot more very domain-specific assessments like DTAG and DPIA. So DTAG is a digital technology assessment, and then DPIA is so data privacy impact assessment. So that means what are the kind of, it comes into domain of risk mitigation and risk management. So that's another key aspect of developing application in this particular space. So I think my job is more or less sit with the ambitious founders, and also not to give them too much that they panic and they say, oh, this looks too complex, but at the same time, so help them how we can take one step at a time, and also keep all these wider compliance landscape in mind, and how we can kind of approach this step by step in a methodical way and comprehensively, so that with a defined and agreed timeline, we can take this product and then get it certified. So that becomes kind of my role interacting with the healthcare founders.
What's your approach to helping startups pivot or adapt quickly if the market or product direction changes? For example, you guys help in healthcare and many other sectors. So if these markets are always ever evolving, ever changing, how does DigiWrite actually combat that as well?
Very good question, Amir. So what we do is we closely work with our clients. It is not we just develop and deliver and then it's up to the clients. We stay in touch with them. We walk with them. We help them to navigate the complex complexity post-launch of the MVP as well. And as Karthik and Ramesh alluded earlier on, so depending on what sector the product is released into, depending on what level of complexity and regulatory compliance required, the post-launch phase is even more critical, like in sectors like healthcare and fintech, especially when it comes to healthcare. So there is a lot of demand in terms of producing real world evidence in terms of clinical safety, effectiveness, and also it is a reliable and trustable solution. So there are a lot more elements outside of the tech itself that plays a big role in terms of whether the product is going to be successful or not. We start this process very much in the beginning. So we right now have a few more clients that's very sensitive sectors, and we brief them, educate them, and bring them on board in terms of giving what are the other considerations they need to factor in. Obviously, sometimes it could be a long journey. So many of them come from a non-tech background, but bright ideas. But at the same time, as you know from your own experience with the Digirite recently, there are multiple elements that play a critical role in terms of a product becoming a successful one. So we kind of brief them, educate them, and empower them with tools, knowledge, and resources for them also self-learn. And also, if they come across the technology or this business landscape jargon, sometimes difficult for them to understand, we also help them to kind of understand in a way so that they get a good grasp of what are the things that they need to factor in and be prepared mentally, physically, financially for this kind of venture into this space. Thanks, Amir.
Yeah, that's honestly, that's a brilliant response. And I just wanted a follow-up question in terms of, you're talking about longevity with the businesses. Like a lot of the times, let's say I've come to you and you guys have built the website for me, and now in terms of a long-term partnership, what does that look like with Digirite? Like, how do you help the founders actually grow past the initial development completed stage?
So, yeah, Amir, thanks for the great question, Amir, right? So, see, right from the ideation stage, okay, so on implementing, introducing, security, secure by design, privacy by design, analytics by design, growth by design. What I mean growth by design is instead of doing the marketing outside the product, how we can include the marketing variant inside the product. It's more of human computer interaction, cognitive psychology, and behavioral economics, right? All these capabilities on the decision science as well, right, which will be incorporated from the design side so that we can navigate the user from creating awareness, acquiring them, activating them, retaining them, and pushing them towards the revenue, and also segmenting the users, right, from that point till the delivery of the application by implementing secure by design principle, shift left principle, which means instead of doing certain things at last, we do it in the beginning, and then taking the product to the market, helping them to implement the product analysis, measure the data, help them to come up with additional features, what they should develop, helping them with the navigating the process of beta release, getting qualitative feedback from the initial users, whether it's B2B, B2C, or B2B2C, right? And then after going to market and start generating some revenue, how we can help them from 100K revenue to 1 million revenue, from 1 million to 10 million. That is something which we can help. How we do this is basically we have two CTOs in Digirite at this point of time, and both are with both are CTOs, but I'm a field CTO and Karthik is an inside guy. He's a most of delivery guy. His background is from Big Four, so he's think about the longevity, how long the product can sustain, how fast it can grow, can it scale, can we mitigate the risk of compliances and regulatory bodies, regulatory reporting, having proper insurance in place, helping our client to have a proper insurance in place. If something, any data breaches or something, happens, how to respond to that. We have a tabletop meeting with the client, assuming the data is already breached, every quarter, and discuss about the strategies, how to react to it, how to be proactive to it, all this can be done with Digirite, which means we not just stop our clients with just delivering the product alone, measuring the data, post to the MVP, and making it as a scalable product. On top of that, when it comes to the support and maintenance, right? We can set up a separate team or same team to do a continuous improvement, maintenance, and also handle 24/7 support, right? For at any levels. That is something which we can do.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's really important for a business. There's a lot of startups, they underlook that aspect, like you said, with the 24/7 support, where even in healthcare or education, where one day it can be going really good, and the next day you can run into a problem. And if you've not got that support from the team at Digirite or the team at anywhere, like you just need that continuous support. If anything goes wrong, you've got that direct communication and everything. But yeah, I feel like that's very insightful, especially for the startup companies or young entrepreneurs to get involved with companies like yourself, especially like not many companies would would look at my CV. He's an 18-year-old student. Why would you take him on? So, which is why I'm really grateful as a student that a company like yourself has actually entertained my vision, and it's helped me bring what it is today. So, I would really like to thank you guys, especially for that. But yeah, if there's anything else from your guys' end, thank you very much.
Great, Amir. So it's been wonderful. I had a very, very positive feedback from each and every team member who interacted with you. So, and also we are even kind of my interaction with you, I found that you are driven, a big ambition, and as well as like a lot of people will have many ideas and they can throw ideas all the time. But what makes a difference is when someone who can put the effort to and follow it up. So that's what we could see in you. So this is just the beginning, and we definitely see that you would have a very, very bright and successful venture and a future. So based on our assessment and interaction, all the best.
Thank you very much, guys. Honestly, I really appreciate it.
So, and
Thank you very
Amir,
much, Amir.
and Amir, one last note, right? About yourself. We worked with you for a few days, and so we would say, right, there are three kinds of people in the world, right? People who make things happen, two people who watch things happen. Third category is who wonder what happened, right? I'm sure you are in the first category, and then it's quite impressive and motivating for us. Why we didn't start the business in age of 18, right? It's really motivating. I would say, like, one side of the world is full of scarcity, another side of the world is full of abundance, right? And problem becomes opportunity when right people join together. Your profile, your credentials, and your recent BBC interview, it all looks very, very impressive. And I think we would say some billion-dollar undermaking. I'll be very much surprised, if something goes wrong in my assumptions. So yeah, I'm sure you'll make all of our assumptions true. So and make us feel proud of building the first product of yours. Thank you.